Welcome back, everybody, to the Me and Jesse podcast. My name is Mark Pavlich, and in the Grove, the big sexy, the star of the show, Mr. Jesse Martineau.
What up, everybody? We had a crazy weekend in the world of sports, especially the world of, what do we call it? Euro football? Football. Football.
Let's just pray. Let's just pray.
Okay.
That one of these European teams wins, okay? The whole thing. Because I can't stand it anymore. Forget the South American countries. Forget that style of soccer. The style of soccer we're seeing as being very dominant right now is European style of soccer.
Well, I would say that France and Croatia are very different styles, though.
It doesn't matter, but being very successful at both. I'm telling you right now, I love our chances against Argentina. I don't like Morocco's chances against France, but I do like our chances against Argentina. I do.
Yeah, I do think it matches up well. I really do. I think that you have a shot.
Well, I do too. I saw what the Netherlands did, and they almost lost to the Netherlands. The Netherlands is shaky at best right now. So I'm pretty excited about tomorrow.
Yeah, what time's that game on?
I think 11 o'clock our time, 12 o'clock our time.
Weird. Well, hey, you said you were excited if they just made it to here, right? Yeah, to this spot. Yeah.
Yes, and I was shocked that they made it this far, but what we're noticing, though, is defensively right now, Croatia is unreal. So that's a big plus that we really weren't paying attention to. But defensively right now, they're unreal. They, like they were talking about Brazil, like they've only been scored on twice.
Right.
They've only and same with Croatia. Croatia's only been scored on twice. So you have to understand now, our goalie is a goalie that was playing in Croatia his whole career. He will no longer be playing in Croatia after this tournament.
No, he's getting up there, but the whole team's getting up there a little bit. We got to admit, like the whole team is, I mean, maybe this is the last one for a bit. What do you think?
I think people are seeing one thing, but you have to see guys like Modric. He's going to be done after this one, but Perisic would maybe have one more in him. And then you have a lot of guys that are coming up the ladder right now that you don't even know who these guys are because they're playing in Croatia. And they're still pretty young. So, but let's be honest, the midfield is where Croatia has served supper for the last how many years, So we got to be very careful because that midfield is going to be hard to replace. And Modric is the midfield of Croatia.
Yeah. There's a lot of moving parts in this. And I think they do have a shot against Argentina. Obviously, Morocco, they've been the underdog the whole time, though. They've been the underdog the whole time. I don't know.
No, Jesse. Reality comes into play on Wednesday when they play France, because I don't give a shit what Morocco's done till now. People were like, they were chastising Croatia, saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe they tied against Morocco.
Yeah.
Oh, they did terrible. Oh my God." Now we're finding out not so bad, right? The tie wasn't the end of the world against them. But what I'm saying is I think France is going to dismantle them.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. That game against England, though, that was a crazy one. That was nuts. That England game, that was over the top. My nerves were absolutely shot by the end of it. That second,
Me too.
Second penalty kick. I was like, okay, goes through your mind half and half. Like, is the goalie gonna second guess himself on the kick, or is Kane gonna second guess himself? And in that scenario, Kane second guessed himself and shot it over the bar. Didn't even put it on target.
He was standing too long. He was standing there way too long, and he
does that weird. A little bit. He does have a long process, but
too long. Listen, Jesse, I was a high-level soccer player when I was a junior kid, and I never missed a penalty shot in my life. You know why? I never thought about it. I put the ball down and I thought, and I stepped back and I said, put the ball in the net, Mark. Listen, no matter what happens in soccer, you notice some of the greatest penalty shooters of all time. You can pick what side. The goalie can dive to the right all he wants. When I'm drilling it in the top right corner, you're not going to get to it. And that's something that I don't understand. You see really good players from Croatia doing that. Crazy's penalty shot game right now is fantastic. Like if we go to penalty shots with Argentina, I have a really good feeling. So, but what I'm trying to tell you is that's how you have to get up and kick it. Stop. There's no production, man. The net's gigantic, okay? And the goalie has so many stipulations for him.
He can't go there on the line.
Yeah, Jesse. And he can get the rebound. Like that's crazy.
That's right.
That's crazy. They should outlaw that rule.
I know. I don't get that either.
Yeah, that's horrible. But he can get his own rebound too. I mean, that's nuts. So what I'm trying to tell you is, the shooter has the advantage. Start acting like you have the advantage.
Right. Absolutely. And again, like the percentage is overwhelmingly in favor of the shooter in that scenario.
Unless you're playing Croatia.
Yeah.
And now it's in their head because this goalie is reading these guys a mile away, and he's getting the cheat sheets on every player, knowing majority of the time certain guys like to kick the ball a certain way, and so it's not that hard anymore. The best players from every team. It doesn't take much research to figure out which way they're going to go with the ball.
Yeah, they absolutely know that. Everybody knows that. I remember that first being talked about when Italy won the World Cup. When
that's right.
Remember he had it in his sock, stuffed in his sock, and so. But hey, they do their homework. And again, they're allowed. Like they do it in baseball too. They know what a pitcher is going to pitch. They know what a hitter. They know every scenario worked out. That's what happens in professional sports. So that's what they do for that.
You notice what the Croatian goalie's doing though? The Croatian goalie's standing behind the line. He's not standing on the.
Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavlich and Jesse Martineau. Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavlich and Jesse Martineau. Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavlich and Jesse Martineau. Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavlich and Jesse Martineau.
Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Mark Pavlich. Across the way in the Grove, the big, sexy Jesse Martineau. What's going on in Hawaii?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's Monday. It's what 2 p.m. 10. I'm home from work early. It's nice.
Yeah.
Hanging out with you guys.
How's the weather? Sunny?
Oh, it's okay today. It's kind of overcast and raining, but it's still beautiful. Better than snow, huh?
Yeah, it's not minus 20.
Come on, it's horrible. It's freezing here. It's freezing.
Minus 20? Yeah.
Minus 20. Minus 20.
That's
So
nasty.
Scotty, what have you been doing now since the last time I seen you? How many years it's been now? How many years?
Oh, it's been a long time, brother. You figure what, 2000 and
Well, you won the
9?
title. You won the title in 2007 back in the day in MFC.
right.
Yeah,
And
I
then
remember.
Me and you went to UFC.
UFC.
together.
That's right.
Yeah. And then we dealt with all that. That was 2009?
2008 or 9, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been since then.
Jeez, wow.
Time flies, huh?
Yeah.
Bro, you look the same. What's going on? It
I
must
look
be
the
that
same.
pineapple. It must be that pineapple over there.
I know. It's all these beers we drink out here.
They must be way too light. You got to up that a little bit.
Yeah, maybe, eh?
Well, so thank you
So
so much
Scotty,
for joining
your,
us tonight.
your career in MMA, in my opinion, was very short. Okay, all in all, right? Like you had what 11, 12 fights.
Is almost pure German, and he was a bull rider and just a badass. He used to always tease us for fighting because he's like, "What are you worried about? You're not getting on a 2,000-pound animal." And then he'd make jokes about it, and he was just a funny guy, huh? But the fight game was scary.
Yeah.
It was scary, bro. A lot of people always talk about, oh yeah, it's this and that, but it was scary, like especially when you get to that level where you're fighting elite fighters from across the world and you're in the back waiting to fight. It's not normal. That's why when you see these guys that are champions, they're amazing human beings. The fact that the mental battles just sitting backstage, those mental battles are crazy. I had to read the book Mind Gym towards the end of my career, and because I was messing myself up in my own head before the fight even started. Like horrible scenarios would run through my head, and I'd have to fight with myself to get out there and get prepared and let's go. And it sucked, but now finally at the end of my career when I dropped down to 205 and I felt like an absolute monster and my mindset was perfect. I had all those eye surgeries and then that was it. That was the end of the game. And I was like, it was fun while it lasted, but it was gone way too, like you said, it's gone way too quick.
For the talent you had, Scott, right? And what I looked at, what most people don't understand is it's true. Sport fighting is much different. If you were in Hawaii and we were in Scott's hometown and we were sitting around a bar and you guys bumped into us and wanted to fight, it's much easier. I promise you, everybody, it's much easier for us to fight in that moment in time in the bar in Hawaii and quicker and probably a little more flashy. Like if you saw it on YouTube after, you'd be like, wow, this was like, you guys were awesome, because there's no preparation. You already know how to fight. You know what to do. There's no, it's not 8 weeks away. It's not on the specific date. It's right here, right now, and it happens. And there's some people that are sport fighters, and there's people that are not, right? And that's what happens. It gets to a certain point in life where I used to say to people all the time, I would take my wife in a street fight with me over George St. Pierre. And people would say, "What do you mean, man?" I'm like, you have no idea. My wife would take her Louboutin shoe and stick it in your eye. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
George St. Pierre wouldn't do that. He'd take you down while people are smashing me in the back of the head with beer bottles. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's not putting George St. Pierre down. He's easily one of the greatest sport fighters of all time. I just don't believe in a street fight he would know, with like a scenario going on, which you've seen in Hawaii a million times. You can't do that.
No, the fact that there's so many athletes now in MMA, pure athletes are fighting,
Right.
and they're not fighters. I had a couple of young guys that we helped train, and they started doing really well, and they went on to fight in the mainland and stuff like that. But good young boys, and they've never been in a street fight in their lives, but they're doing great in MMA.
Yeah,
It's just that whole, like you said, when things pop off, it's spur of the moment, and you can just start throwing the animal, and you just the adrenaline dump and the hand speed and everything just goes crazy compared to sitting in that backstage and watching guys, especially if you're in the blue corner and you're visiting everybody keeps coming in with losses and knocked out and choked out, and you're just on that blue corner because that red corner is the home crowd and the champions, and you're sitting there and it's like, oh wow, I'm on the bad side. And then, okay, let's go. I was like, all right, let's go. You know what I mean? I say, oh, the warm up, you have 10 minutes to warm up. Perfect. Warm up for 10 minutes. You know what? We forgot the fight before you use the championship 5. Go ahead and relax. You got 2 more 5-minute rounds. So, okay. And that messes with you too, right? Waiting, warming up even longer, then going out to that ring and your legs are ice cold and your coach is slapping your legs to try to wake your legs up because the nerves have gone to shit. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a crazy experience.
So did you ever pinpoint what exactly your brain was doing in that scenario? You said you fixed it, but what was it that you discovered about it that was holding you back?
My key word to always reset me is win. That's all I would say to myself, win. And I'm reset and I'm on point and I'm punchy and edgy. But prior to that, I didn't have that. And so the thoughts that went through even the fights that I won while me and Mark were together and after we weren't together, even the ones that I won and dominated prior to the fight, sometimes I'd be in the back and it'd be like seeing myself get slept with a face, like a kick in the face, or seeing myself get my knee torn apart by a submission. And it's like, what the hell? And I'm over there saying, what the fuck's wrong with you? Get warmed up. Yeah. And then I'm over warming up. So some fights, by the time I got to the ring, I was exhausted. I was tired already before the fight even started. So you can see where some guys' cardio is amazing and they fight and they look like shit. And there was, they need more cardio. No, they need more mental training. They need more reading. They need more coaching. And that's the problem nowadays too, right? All these fighters are coaching fighters. And it to me, they're getting worse compared to the coaches that actually have guys with education and the know to know when to stop a fight. Like, how many fights have you seen where you know your fighter's not going to win? It's the 4th round of a championship fight. He's not fighting anymore. The coaches are still letting him fight. It's like, save him for another day. Today wasn't his day. Every day is not going to be your best day, but they just keep letting it go. And it's like, then you see those fighters just get beat up. And to me, the mental beating that an undefeated fighter takes, right? When an undefeated fighter loses, and that beating he takes, but he doesn't give up, but he stops fighting in the 2nd round. Now he's got 3 more rounds to not fight and to just keep getting beat up and look worse and look worse and look worse, compared to if you had a coach that actually knew what they was doing, they'd be like, you know what? Hey, I'm making a judgment call. He's done. Fight's over. Wave the flag. Throw the towel in. We'll fight next month. You'll be healthy. We'll get you back on track. But that never happens anymore.
No,
it really doesn't happen that way. And again, like, is that like an unwritten rule, but kind of a rule to say, hey, never throw in the towel?
It's an ego thing. I think
it. Pure and simple
anybody that doesn't throw the towel when they know their fighter has lost and he's stopped fighting, because there's a difference. If your fighter is banging it out and he's working and he's going for takedowns and he's stopping and he's grinding it out, but he's just the less talented fighter, that's one thing. He still has a chance because he's still fighting. But even if you have the better fighter, even if he's the more dominant fighter and he stopped fighting, that's when you have to think about, you know what? I might have to stop this fight. I might have to save him and his career by taking a loss.
Mark, didn't you have to stop a fight sometime?
5 wins in a row.
I did stop the fight when I used to manage and train Jason McDonald, and I got shit on by the whole fucking MMA community. I was crucified like by everybody for stopping the fight when he fought Rich Franklin. And literally the first round went pretty good. You know, the second round was it was getting rough. And then
I remember that fight. He stopped fighting.
Well, what happened was McDonald was taking shots from the bottom from Franklin. And when he was walking back to the corner, I ran out to get him, and he was walking, but he couldn't see. You know what? I don't mean, you know, it was weird. There was nothing, his eyes weren't puffed up or nothing. He couldn't see. He was using the fence to get back to the ring. That freaked me out. I never seen that in my life. Usually if your eye's cut or it's closed, okay, I understand. No, neither were closed. Nothing was cut. It was just shots to the face, and he couldn't see. And he was trying to walk back to the corner, and he was using the cage to try to guide him back. And I said, Jason, look at me. And he was looking like this to the side, and he said, I could see you, Mark. I could see you. And he's looking this way. And I'm like, no, bro. And I looked back, and I saw his wife in the crowd, and I was like, and he's got kids. And I was like, nah, man. And if you would have told me I would have stopped the fight, I would have told you you're crazy. Because me personally, I used to tell people, like, even we do any event or whatever, it is what it is, right? But I knew he had a wife, kids, like, and I was like, no, man. And I stopped the fight literally for months after. I was getting crucified by people. They were like, oh, I can't believe you stopped the fight. Oh, you're so hardcore. You're not hardcore. And I'm like, yeah, well, he lived to fight another day, right? So that's all. It's a sport. It's not a street fight. It's a sport, and that's sometimes people misconstrue what that means.
Well,
it's short-lived. It's short-lived too. That's
very short. Yeah.
So we just talked about eyes. Like, you had some eye trouble and had to get surgeries and stuff. What happened there, and how did that? When did you figure that out, or was it an instantaneous thing?
It was on the Ultimate Fighter. Me and Mitch Cherone were exchanging, and he caught me, and the thumb went in my eye, and it wasn't on purpose. It was just he was just southpaw, and I remember him throwing, and he caught me in the eye, and then it was like immediate. I thought my eyelid had flipped inside out. So you'll see me wipe my eye once, then I wipe my eye again, and then you hear Rashad yell, he can't see, get on him, Matt, get on him. And I actually did this in the fight. I took my 2 fingers and I went to open my eyelid because I thought it was flipped. And then nothing changed. So I couldn't see from basically past my nose to the left.
Man.
And he's a southpaw. And he had heavy hands, and he hit me with that right hook like 3 more times. And when he hit me with it, it was like a bass drum going off in my head. It was going, doom, doom. And I remember trying to do something, and then, like, you know how you hear all the critics, right? Oh yeah, fuck, he got no cardio, blah blah. But I was damaged. I was damaged bad. And then I went for the takedown, and I couldn't get it, and he beat me up. But then, for some reason, halfway through that beating, it was just like 3 minutes into the first round, halfway through that beating, it just turned back on.
Really?
And so I pressed him, and that's when you see me in the end of the first round, have him up against the fence, and I'm just banging on him, and he's wobbling back and forth, and I'm trying to finish him. And we had a coach named Tom Blackledge, and Tom was saying, "Tighten up, Scotty," and I tightened up, and I started throwing right hook, left hook, and then the round ended. And then when we came back, Rampage was like, "You good?" I go, "I'm good now." He's like, "What happened?" I said, "I couldn't see." And he's like, "Okay." And then second round came out, and I swear I dominated that round, beat him up, took him down, took him down, and then they called the fight, and they said it was over, and that's when Rampage lost it. He's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He's like, "But Mitch Cherone won the first round, Junk won the second round. How come there's no third round?" Like, "Oh no, he won the first round 10-8. And Tom Blackledge says, "How does he win the round 10-8 if he's getting beat up at the end of the round? How's that a 10-8 round?"
But we know that that's happening now in MMA. We all think that judging is good still, and it's not. It's like, it's still, we saw it this weekend. It's still weird about how judging is done, and you still have a lot of boxing referees that are
Horrible.
still still around.
And they suck at boxing. They suck at judging boxing fights.
Yeah,
but don't
awful.
they want more 10-8 rounds? Isn't that the push to, like, get more of those 10-8 calls?
No. 10-8 has to be so dominant, okay? Not kind of dominant. There should be no. You know what's funny? Yeah. You know what's funny, Jesse? People bug me all the time. They're like, "Mark, I don't know why you're not running a commission," because I said I've never did it. I've never wanted to do. I was a promoter for so many years, but I was so fanatical about rules in my own organization, let alone, what I see all the time. I see commissions to this day that have no business being commissions. The number one shifty commission on the planet is still in Nevada. They're still the worst.
California's pretty horrible too.
California's number 2. Yeah. California's number 2. And it's a lot of people that get these jobs, and they're not even into MMA. They're just using that to get to the next political step, to say, well, I was on the commission, and now I want to be the guy that takes care of agriculture. I'm not joking. Really, it's really strange, because when I've met a lot of commission guys, I said, "Oh, what's your background in martial arts?" They ask me, and I'm like, "Okay." Oh, and I just go ding, 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 and then I'd say, "What did you do?" "Oh no, I've never done martial arts in my life. I was the guy running the plumbing and sewage in I was like, "You're joking," and he goes, "No, that's the truth." People don't do research, and you want to act surprised when you hear these scorecards and you go, "How did that happen?" Like, I watched the fight with the kid from Ireland, Paddy. He lost the fight. He lost. Like, like the kid, I don't dislike him. I don't like him. I'm watching the fight. He lost the first 2 rounds. I mean, he lost 3 and 1, and he might have maybe won the second round. And I thought to myself, how can he win a unanimous decision? You know, and it's the same thing, and it's the same thing with the main event.
He's a smart boy though. He's really tight with Dana and them. He's really smart. He's backing up the right people. So,
but you know what's
it's
funny, Scott?
Yeah,
See, that's where you lost it, because you're from Hawaii and you came from a culture of, you know, I remember a lot of guys coming from, besides BJ Penn. Who was the other guy, Scotty? He kind of looked like you, but he was like heavier. He was like a Hawaiian guy too, but
Cabbage.
Yeah, like, he was like the Diaz brothers before the Diaz brothers were the Diaz brothers.
Oh yeah.
So people
Cabbage
didn't
is
even realize
legit.
that. Like Hawaii fighting culture is the bomb. Like I'm talking about like legit. When BJ came and then Cabbage came, Scott came, there was a swagger of Hawaiian kind of. There's a swag. What's the other kid? He still fights.
Max Holloway.
Not Max. Well, of course, Max Holloway. But
Brad Tavares.
Tavares. There was another one too. There was a bunch of guys. Like they were just
Brandon, got a lot of talented guys coming on Hawaii.
But they all had swag. And the reason why they all had swag is because that's what you have to have in Hawaii. Listen, can you imagine your nickname is Punk Haole? And how did you ever get it? And I know now, I never knew why you had that nickname, but I know now because your father was German. Oh. Because you know what a Haole is, Jesse?
I do, yeah.
Because I spent 3 months in Hawaii. And when I was a single young guy thinking I was the man, and I would walk down the street and all these guys are yelling at me, "Hey, Haole, what's up, bro?" And I'm like, "Why? What do they call me that for?" You know? And my buddy's next to me and goes, "That's not a good thing, Mark. They're calling you that." And I'm like, "Really?" And so what I found out was in Hawaii, when I was in Waikiki, I was big, and I liked to fight all the time. It didn't matter where it was. But what you have to remember in Hawaii is when you start to fight the one guy, 4 more you're going to fight right at the same time. So what happens is the first guy runs out of the truck, say, "Oh, Haole wants to fight," right? So what happens is I start to fight, and then the next guy, but the guy I'm with doesn't know how to fight. So he's just standing there going, "Oh shit," you know, like I'm fighting 3 or 4 guys, but then they see you know how to fight. So it was kind of cool. After I see the same guys on the beach the next day, you know what? Very cool with me. But you know what's funny? You better be careful in Hawaii, though. The one place you don't get forgiveness is on the waves. If you think you know how to surf and you go out in Hawaii and you think you know how to surf and you're from the mainland and you go on their waves and try to monkey around on their waves and you don't know how to surf, you're in big trouble. You're going to get your surfboard smashed over your head, man. I don't want to. I'm not hurting Hawaiian culture because I love it there, and my wife bugs me all the time about I got to take her to Hawaii, which I will in the next year or 2. I promise I will take her to Hawaii. But I'm telling everybody, tell us, Scott, about the culture of Hawaii. I want to know, like, people don't really know what I'm talking about.
No, it's so mixed and diverse. It's Hawaii is a beautiful place. All right, so people with ties to old Hawaii are pure, they're loving, they're tough, they're hardworking. And then you have the implants, right? People that move here like in the last 5 to 10 years and they won't try to say that they're from Hawaii. And they're not. It's sad to say, but so many good families have moved out of Hawaii because Hawaii is expensive. It's expensive. It's the market is tough for the normal family, and you figure I have a family of 7. I got 5 kids and me and my wife, and we're doing good. But you never know. It could be one accident away from being homeless. You know what I mean? So you never know.
What city are you in, Scott?
I'm in Honolulu is our city, but I live in Aiea.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So then getting to the surfing thing, the reason guys get beat up at the beach,
I see it.
It's because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you being uneducated, coming into Hawaii, being uneducated about our reefs and the way our waves break, and cutting off or dropping it on somebody that already has the right to the wave because he's already in it, and you guys getting slammed and thrown into a rock, into the reef, and getting torn to pieces and there's deaths, right? So when you're told by the lifeguards tell guys all the time, "Don't go out there today, bro. You don't know what you're doing." And they still go out, and then they get slaughtered, And then now what happens is when the lifeguards go out there to save them, they get slaughtered at the same time because the waves on the North Shore are amazing. They're amazing waves. They're huge bodies of water. And even if you just go out there to hang out and drink beer and watch the waves, it's a good time.
Yeah.
But the guys that are out there know what they're doing. Then you get these knuckleheads that come in from like all around the world, and they I surf. Yeah, the biggest waves they've ever surfed is like 5 feet.
Yeah.
Then they come out here and there's a 15-foot face.
Yeah.
And it's a monster wall of water. And then now you put other guys at risk, and so they get. It's never just getting beat up for no reason. The guys that get beat up, they're getting beat up for a good reason.
Yeah,
You're risking these, and a lot of the guys that are out there are pros. That's what they do for a living. And they're out there practicing. That's their gym. You know what I mean? So they're out there practicing in the water, and you're cutting one off, or worse, you throw your board into one of them. It's on. Like they're ready to fucking kill you.
Yeah, it's true. That was more entertaining than the surfing, in my opinion, when I was there, because I went and I drank beers with my buddy Robbie Chow. He was a pro surfer back then, and he said, "Mark, you just sit here." And I said, "Oh, maybe I'm a really good swimmer, you know." And he goes, "Mark, doesn't matter." And he goes, "Bro, that don't matter. This is totally different, man." And I said, "Perfect." Because the way he looked at me, I knew he was telling me the truth, right? So he said, "Mark, just sit." So I sat and drank beers. And I watched him. He was an unbelievable surfer, but he was from Nevada, but he was a Hawaiian that lived in Nevada after, but everybody knew who he was. And he was surfing on the waves, and it was cool. But it did happen when I was there. Some guy from California thought he knew how to surf with a longboard, and the board went into somebody, and they got on the beach, bro. And I was sitting in the best spot of all. And he said, "Just don't move, Mark. Don't move. It's going to happen." And sure as shit, it was on, man. Because they don't like Hawaiians. It was like, there's a subculture there that I loved. I loved it when I was there for 3 months, and I was in Waikiki, and I ate peanut butter and banana and honey sandwiches every day. And with a side of pineapple, and I ate that every day. And I was
you ate like a king.
Buddy, that's paradise for me. And no problem. And then I would train at World's Gym when they had the World's Gym in Waikiki back in the day.
That was a good gym.
And I'd go down the beach with my fluffy sweatpants on, no shirt on, and go to the gym, long dew in the back.
With your big hair. Oh, you had your big hair.
Oh, it was the best. It was the best. Oh my God, I loved it.
So when you had the eye injury too, we cut you off. We forgot to talk about what actually happened and how did you recover from that or fix it?
I had a detached retina.
It did, it actually detached.
So it detached. So then on the show, they took me into the doctor, and the doctor looked at it, and he basically said, "Oh, your fighting years are done. You got to get this fixed," and blah, blah, blah. So they lasered it. And at the end of the thing, he goes, "Okay, it looks good." And he goes, and I told him, "What, doc, do you still think my fighting years are done?" He goes, "It looks good, but I'm going to let you know your body type, the way that your eyes sit in your skull, you don't have enough overhang on your
interesting
the bone above your eye socket."
Okay.
Yeah,
So your eyes sit at the
flat,
like with the eyebrow, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, anytime you get hit, there's nothing to protect you. You have to either really learn to tilt your head down, which is dangerous too, because now you're opening up your clavicle and stuff like that to being struck. But he's like, it's totally up to you. And I was like, great, perfect. That's all I wanted to hear. And then I had like 3 fights after that, and then I had dropped to light heavyweight, and then I went in there and I was fighting this guy in Maui out of Kendall Dem's camp, and we go, and it was a great fight. Went 3 rounds, ended up submitting him in the 3rd round, but in the 2nd round, I had him on his back, and I was giving him a beating, and then he up kicked me, and the ref didn't know what he was doing, so he allowed him to do it. Then so the guy got away with it, so he did it again with the other leg, and he up kicked me and kicked me right in my eye again. Ooh. And then I remember passing his legs and giving him a fucking beating after that. I just gave him a beating, and I could have tapped him out a couple of times, but I just wanted to beat on him. And so then I pounded on him, and I would, like, one time I pounded on him, and I felt him kind of go limp, so I waited. And then when he came back, then I started pounding on him again and gave him a beating. And then that round ended. In the 3rd round, I put him down multiple times. I hit him with a right hand to the head and a left hook to the body, and then a knee right to the body right after that. And he went down again. He kept just crumbling, and then so finally in the 3rd, I took his arm and I Kimura'd him. Then I went over to the fence and thanked Kendall, them, whatever, and I went back. But by the time I got to the locker room, there was like a leopard of spots all in my eye. I was like, fuck.
Oh, no.
And so then that's when the real big surgery started happening, where they put a buckle on the back of the eye, and then they laser everything, and they put this artificial bubble in your eyeball, and they blow it up. And after the surgery, you gotta lay face down for 2 weeks.
What?
So you have to lay face down. So you lay face down. I bought a massage table. I got everything ready, and I laid face down for 2 weeks. And when you go to the bathroom, you get up with your head down. You go to the bathroom, you come right back, lay back on the table. And I was walking around like at 225 at the time. By the time the 2 weeks was over, I was like walking around like at 207. And because I wasn't eating, I was laying around all the time. I looked like a skeleton. And then I got back and everything went good. And then 3 weeks after they said everything's all good, I'm walking one day and I noticed all these flashes in my eyes. So I called the doctor. I was like, hey, I got these flashes in my eyes. Like, shit. I'm like, well, you got to come back in. So I was okay. So I come back in and go, yeah, we got to put you back in surgery today. I was like, whoa, what? And he was, yeah. So we do the same fucking thing again.
2 more weeks.
And 2 more weeks, face down. I ended up having 7 surgeries. So so finally, after like 4 surgeries with this company, I was like, fuck, you know what? I'm done. And then I looked at my wife and I was like, I'm done. I just fuck, I'm over it. You know, I'm done. So I quit fighting. And then we were doing something one day and it started having those flashes again. The flashes is because water is getting in through the retina, and it's like it sends this little like micro flashes, and it makes you kind of nauseous, like these little flashes, and you feel like it's in your brain. And then so I went back into this other doctor, and he goes, man, how many surgeries did you do? Your eye looks like a fucking, like, just scars everywhere. And I go, I did 5 already. He goes, why? I was like, because they said it wasn't detached. He goes, yeah, but you're too young. You can't keep doing these surgeries. I was like, what are you talking about? You're too young. You heal too fast. So when you heal fast, you create pools on the other part of the retina, and it tears.
Ouch.
Then you burn that, then it tears somewhere else. So this is an old person's procedure. Why are they doing this to you? And I just looked at him and I just shut my mouth, and I wanted to fucking kill those other doctors. I was like,
Yeah.
if you knew the shit wasn't gonna fucking work, why did you even put me through that? That was
Yeah, of
torture.
course.
Like physical torture, mental, lower back, joints, like starvation sometimes, depression, fuck all these things going on. Because I'm watching at the time my second son was just born, and he was a toddler. So now he's crying for me to grab him and to hold him, and I'm like, fuck, I can't even, because I wasn't allowed to pick up anything more than like 20 pounds. You're not allowed to put any stress on the eye. And I was just watching. I was like, man, this is fucking some bullshit. And then now I'm fucking almost 99% blind in the eye anyway. So I wasted all that money and all that time trying to save something that wouldn't have worked anyway. The doctor told me later, like this other doctor that was solid, that was honest to me, he goes, you should have just waited and done stem cell treatment. You wouldn't have had all these scars in your eye.
Wow.
And I was like, fuck, I wish I would have met him sooner. You know what I mean?
What? Yeah. How much vision do you have in the eye now?
Jack shit. It's like looking through Vaseline, bro. It's horrible.
Oh,
it's
wow.
horrible.
Oh, wow.
Like yeah, it's bad.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Jeez. That. I mean, man. Oh, man. That. I mean, but that. How was it for you to say quit, or was it? You know.
It just. I was having fun, and then it wasn't fun anymore. It was like my training camps, my training partners weren't dedicated anymore. They were all older too. I wasn't with my team anymore. I was just training out of my other friend's gym by myself, and I had like help from a couple other friends that would come once in a while to help me spar. Like I had Reagan Penn help me. I had a couple other guys come down and help me out, but they were all smaller guys, yo. And it just I remember one day going, fuck, I don't even want to go to train today.
Yeah.
And as soon as I said that, I knew I was done. I'm done.
Yeah.
Your kids are involved in sports lots. You got all your kids are involved, right?
Yes. They're all training. They work like, so my 16-year-old trains every morning with me at 5 a.m. and he does his weights before school. Then he goes to school, and he's a 2-year all-state football player. So his freshman year, he made second team all-state as a freshman playing varsity football. And then this year as a sophomore, he made it again. He's going to be a stud. He's
awesome.
a beast.
That's
awesome. He's a beast, bro.
Can we see a junk? Can we see a junk in the NFL?
I would love to see a junk in the NFL.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Can you imagine that?
It's hard. It's hard when you have kids that have everything. They have everything. They're not diamonds in the sub. You know, it's hard to get a diamond in the suburb. You know
I like where this is going.
Yeah, it's he trains hard. He loves it, but he's not in love with the part that makes you great. You know what I mean? Like, I have to still wake him up physically. Like, get up, shake his leg, get up, let's go. And when we're training, sometimes his attitude isn't right, and then I lose it, and because I have a short fuse temper still, so I'm constantly snapping at him, and one of my best friend's sons comes with him in the mornings too, and he's in college, and I'm constantly cussing those two guys out. What the fuck's your problem? Pick the fucking weight up. What the fuck are you doing? Like, hey, we've done this for fucking months. Let's go. Wake the fuck up. And then my 10-year-old he's in now, right? So he's actually finally doing like kettlebell, like goblet squats, and he's powering, and he's doing all this. But all my kids we're always stretching. We're always trying to stay flexible. Something that was never taught to me while I was in sports or fighting, right? So we do a lot of recovery. We do a lot of training. But it shows. Like his own coaches are trying to tell me, oh, maybe you might want to let Zion not have to train in the morning during the season. And I just nodded, oh, okay. And in my head, I'm like, fuck you, you're a clown. Like, what the fuck do you know about training hard?
Yeah.
Well, we all know.
No disrespect.
That's because you know how to get there. You know how to get there, Scott, and that's the difference. Like you can ask the LeBron James of the world, you can ask the Kobe Bryants of the world. They'll all tell you the same story. They weren't out partying. They weren't out doing all these things. Those guys were out shooting. There's no secret. You want to be in the UFC now? And listen, to get in the UFC is not that hard. I can tell you that right now. I got a lot of guys in the UFC probably shouldn't have been in the UFC before, like back in the day. And I'm telling you right now that to get in is one thing. To make a lot of money is another thing. And to be a champion is a whole different planet. And I'm telling you, people don't like I love it all the time. People tell me, like, I'll walk into a gym and people are like, what do you think of that guy over there, Mark? And I'm like, oh, he's the man. And I'm like, he ain't the man. And they go, why? And I go, watch every time he gets punched. Every time this kid gets punched, what's he do? He steps backwards. He doesn't step to the side. He doesn't go forward. He just steps back every time. Never. I always look for the guy that gets smashed in the face, the kid, and he steps to the side and he comes underneath and throws an uppercut. Or not just always backing up, because he's never found adversity. When the second adversity comes, they don't know how to deal with it. I'm telling you right now, if you can't create what you're doing with your son right now, Scott, is you're creating adversity. Waking him up at 5 o'clock in the morning saying we're training. That's adversity because the rest of the people aren't doing it. And he should ask himself, I wonder why I'm this and this and at this level. Because don't wake him up. Don't wake him up for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Let him do what he wants. But then when he comes to you one day and says, you know, Dad, when he's working in the plant, you know, Dad, I should have listened to you because I probably could have been in the NFL. Guess what? We don't want to have that conversation. So right. I'm going to wake your ass up every morning. And you trust me, when you really want it, though, when you really want it, you'll be waking me up. You'll be waking me. He should be waking you up, Scott. That's when it gets to that level. Let's go, Dad. Let's go, Dad. That's the Kobe Bryants of the world. That's the LeBron James of the world. That's the Wayne Gretzky's of the world. Trust me. I've been through this a million times. Trust me, if I had your athleticism, Scott, you would have been carrying my ice bucket into the UFC corner because that was never a problem with me. Never. Not just talking.
So I know, but you what you're saying right there was spot on. So I had lost my patience with him, and
sure.
I was tired of waking him up, and this is about a couple months ago, and I said, you know what, fuck it. If he doesn't wake up from now on, I'll go by myself. So guess what? A couple of days he didn't wake up, and I went. And now we're at that point, like you said. Now we're at that point where he saw it. He saw the difference. And now the other day, like you said, I was knocked out. I had a rough night. I was laying out in bed, and he shook at 4:30. Hey, Dad, are we going to the gym today? I go, yeah, I'm up, and I got up. But the fact that he came in and shook me to make sure I got up, I like that. You know what I mean? It's big.
That's a sign right there, Scott. And I'm telling you, if it continues on and escalates, because the people that become obsessed, okay, forget passion. I've told people this many times. Passion's for pussies. You got to get obsessed. When you get obsessed of what you're doing, I was obsessed with the MFC for 16 years. People go,
what an amazing company that was.
Yeah, but how do you think that is? You people go, oh, Merry Christmas. And I'm like, yeah, screw you. I don't need Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. I don't care about Hanukkah. I got to do this. Happy Valentine's Day. You know, fuck Valentine's Day. I don't want nothing. I was doing this like 24/7. You name it. And at that time, I wasn't just owning the MFC. I was training fighters, managing fighters, owning the MFC, traveling from place to. I didn't care. What do I care? This is like, are you crazy? I was loving it. This was like, there was no drug in the world when I was a kid. There was nothing that matched this high I was on for 16 years. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you know what's funny? I remember when I went to the UFC and BJ Penn was there one day. And he walks up to me and he goes, "Bruh, are you the guy? You're the MFC guy." And I said, I go, "How do you know that?" He goes, "I know, man. You were, Scott Junk." And I'm like, "Oh." And I realized that in the culture of the people and how they knew who that was and that was and that was. And I was just like, how can you get tired of that? And when your son plays football and he ends up going to a Division I school and he understands that his whole education is paid for 4 years, that cost $200,000, and then maybe if he's lucky and blessed enough to get to the NFL and he gets in there, and even if he gets on the team, the guys now playing special teams are making $1 million a year. You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to tell you is it's very possible. Work ethic beats talent 99 out of 100 times. Work ethic.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely too on the studying part of the game too, right? So now he sees it. Like I have him working with this coach named Frank Lackadin out here, and he's blessed to have Hanai uncles that's like my friends that are like uncles to him, right? Like my friend Rod York and Kimo Luna and these guys that they really, really do specialize in certain levels of football. And now Zion had 9.5 sacks last year as a sophomore. He's a linebacker.
Wow.
9.5 sacks as a linebacker.
Awesome. That's awesome.
It's fucking amazing. It's fucking awesome. Amazing. And he only weighed 190 pounds. So now the goal this year is to get him to 215 by his junior year. So it's solid muscle and he doesn't lose his speed. So he's on his protein shakes every morning before and after workouts. He carries one to school with him. He eats big steaks for dinner. He's pounding proper nutrition. Like nutrition is everything. We all know that. You can work out every day, but if your nutrition sucks, nothing changes. Right? So his nutrition's on point. Now he's getting this education from Frank Lackinen about coverage. So he's had an interception his freshman and his sophomore year, but he didn't even know how to do any coverage. And the coaches that he's with now, they don't teach the kids. Like he goes to a great school. It's an academic school, and it's a private school. It's called Iolani, and they're known for their electronic arts programs. They're known for like turning out the top lawyers and the top doctors and dental and freaking all just the top guys in the state. It's not a football school, but they went undefeated for 2 freaking years, and they finally had their first loss this last year in the playoffs against a much bigger, much deeper team, because their private school only averages about 12 kids a class. There's maybe 200 kids in the class as a sophomore, right? So it's like their talent pool, their heaviest offensive lineman was 210 pounds.
Wow.
The other backup to him was 185. So the fact that they went undefeated for 2 years is amazing, and it's now he's actually learning strategy, and he's learning the depth, the reading routes and noticing what's coverage is and stuff
the
like
IQ,
that. So,
Scott, the IQ.
yes.
They got these kids.
I can't wait till next year.
You got to have the IQ. Doesn't matter. All the talent in the world. If you don't got the IQ when you're playing the game, whether you're doing MMA, football, whatever it is, if you don't got that IQ, don't mean nothing. There's a lot of guys that had talent, but they look at all the great college football players that came to the NFL that shit the bed because they couldn't see, the game was too fast for them when they got to the NFL. A lot of them crashed and burned. Hey, what did we see yesterday? Brock Purdy, the kid that played for San Fran.
Iowa State, Iowa State college. He was a beast.
Mr. Irrelevant. The last
Mr. 292, huh?
292, bro. but what does he have? He has a high IQ, and he showed it yesterday against Tom Brady.
Loved it.
And we all loved it.
First kid to ever beat Tom in a first meeting.
But
first kid to ever beat Tom.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Can you imagine, though, a guy like that, if that doesn't prove the point to your son watching that, going, the last guy drafted in the NFL, Mr. Irrelevant, just lit
Next
up.
Man up.
Just
Next
lit
man
up.
up.
Lit him up. Lit him up.
No. Next man up. It's got to have that mindset.
Correct.
There's always an opportunity, huh?
My Croatians are playing tomorrow against Argentina, a country of 3.8 million people. That's it, 3.8 million people. You tell those Croatians that they did last World Cup. We were the runner-ups. We're playing Argentina down to 4 right now, and you tell those people, oh no, You're a small country. You don't have a chance. You're from Hawaii. You don't have a chance. Bullshit. Everybody's got a chance now. Everybody knows how to get there. You just have to sacrifice enough to get there. That's all.
Well, you said it at the beginning when you first joined us that there was a big mind game that you had to overcome. You had to win that. And how much does that translate to the rest of life? Like with our kids, with work, with everything we do. That is the battleground now. It might not be in an octagon, might not be in a field, but the one thing that every human being wakes up every morning has to fight the one right in there. And you know that, you know, what you guys both talking about there, that is something that people need to carry in no matter what they do. They need to learn to fight that battle inside of their own head, and then you got a chance. But if you don't know how to fight that one, man, it doesn't matter how talented you are, you might not make it.
Yeah, I was talking with this old man the other day, and I'm always cool with everybody. Like, so if I walk by and I see an old man pushing a shopping cart, I always stop and say, "What's up, boss? How you doing?" And then he started talking to me, and I ended up walking him a couple of the aisles, and I was doing some Christmas shopping, and we started chopping up. He's like in his late 80s, and then so I asked him, hey, so what's up, boss? What's the purpose of life? And he said something to me, and it dug in. I was like, he goes, "It's to save as much people as you can, son." Wow. And I looked, I was like, "What?"
Wow.
I was like, "That was deep."
Yeah.
I was like, "Bro,
he went deep on you. He went deep on you. He went deep on you.
I looked at him, and I was okay. And he goes, "Yeah, Jesus Christ is real." And I was like, "Oh man," I was like, "That's some deep ass shit, boss." And we were talking. And I was like, "Hey, amen, amen." How many people have you saved in your life? He goes, "Everybody I can, because the devil is real." And I was like, "Ooh." Wow. I was like, "Bro,
you picked the right guy, man." Hey,
oh, bro.
Look at the Navy SEALs. Look at the Navy SEALs. Look at the Navy SEALs. They say it all the time. They never change who they are. You can say whatever you want. They don't change how to become a Navy SEAL. Doesn't matter who you are. You know the big guy that comes in that's doing steroids thinking he can become a Navy SEAL? Those guys are the first fuckers that ring the bell every time to get out of the Navy SEAls. You know who? Yes. Huh? Yeah, man. Yeah, ring that bell. You know what the difference is? You know who the guys that make Navy SEAls are? Usually it's the smaller guys that have the chip on their shoulder, or the guy that might not look like much, but he in his brain he's like, "Nah, man, this is where I do the flip. This is where I never ring the bell." And those are the guys you got to be careful about. The big jacked guy comes in, he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to be a Navy SEAL." And then he literally 2 days into Hell Week, man, he's ringing that bell going home, man, because he's a pussy. Because it's in the deep inner of your mind that you go, "Oh, I'm cold. I don't want to be here no more. I'm going to ring the bell." And what I'm trying to tell you is, your son's going to face that moment in time one day, Scott. He's going to face it. His friends are going to go, "Come on, Zion, let's go party. Let's go do this." And he's going to say, "Nah, man, I got to go over my playbook." And when you hear that, my friend, when you hear that, that's when you got gold. That's when you got gold.
They played a couple weeks ago. It was the semifinals, right? So they were the number 1 seed. The team was Waipahu. They're number 4, but they were monsters. They're a big, solid football team. Bunch of kids have been playing with each other for a long time, and they won hands down. But Zion had a good game, and the game ended, and all his friends are going to go to a party and blah blah. And you got to figure, my son is only a sophomore. All his friends are seniors and juniors, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to go to this party. Come with us, Zion." He goes, "Nah, I'm good." And I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'm going to go home." And then so I said, "Bro, you can go with them. You can go hang out." It's not that. I'm good. We lost. And I was like, and he goes, "What are you going to do? Go home and mope?" And he goes, "Nah, I just don't want to go out." I was okay. I can respect that. But on the drive home, I told him, "Son, trust me, there'll be many more. There'll be many more losses in life, right? Yeah. So control what you can control. Control your controllables. You know that you're showing up to weight training every day. How many of your teammates are doing that?" And he goes, "None." And I go, "Exactly. So your job is to get all of them in the fucking gym with you. Then you'll have a championship team again." And he's like, "Okay, Dad." So he asked a bunch of them. One guy came one day, never came back again. No. I was like, "Good luck with that team, son. Like that's gonna be a rough next 2 years for you."
Sure, but you saw what happened with Kobe Bryant when they went to the Olympics.
That was an awesome show. Yeah, that was awesome.
Did you hear about what Kobe Bryant did? They were all in Las Vegas. They were all in Las Vegas. So all these guys from the NBA are all in Las Vegas hanging out. They're doing their training camp for the Olympics. They're all partying, banging strippers, doing whatever they're doing. And guess what? Kobe's, no, man, I'm going to the gym every day because I want to win the gold medal in the Olympics. So they come home at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, and Kobe's waiting in the lobby to go train. And these guys are looking at Kobe going, what are you doing, Kobe? Like, he goes, I'm going to train, man. Didn't talk to nobody. They were laughing. They were doing whatever they're doing. They're partying, having fun, getting ready for the Olympics. All of a sudden, 2 or 3 of the guys go, no, you know what, man? I'm not going to party either. I'm going to go with Kobe. And then it started to happen And then the whole team went. No one was partying anymore. No one was doing anything. Kobe didn't say one word, not one word. He just said, I'm going to win that gold medal for the United States, and nothing's going to stop me. You guys go party, do whatever you want. But you know what happens? Sometimes when you don't have to talk too much, but you just show by example. And when your son does the same thing, they'll follow or they'll fade away. But when he goes to the next level, he's going to go without him. That's all.
There was no luck involved. It's just hard work. It's just all there is to it. You gotta earn it. I told him you gotta earn, like, with strength. I go, he's fast. I go, son, but you have to earn strength. You have to get under the bar. You have to get under the. You gotta squat deeper. You gotta push harder. You gotta put more weight on there. You need to drive a bigger sled. You need to hit a bigger body. And so, but he's blessed too, because Friday mornings, especially before his games, we're at my gym and I'm his lineman. And I'm fucking throwing him into the wall, and I'm fucking dropping him on the ground. And I said, son, nobody in this league is big and as fast as me, or as strong. No way. I'll kill all these kids. So just keep coming at me. Yeah. And we go over. Every Friday morning was footwork, technique, and get past me. And he never got past me once. I said, son, I'm never gonna let you get past me.
Amen.
Until the day you can.
Correct.
Yeah. And I go, I'm never gonna give it to you. I'm not that dad. You're gonna fucking earn this, because we put a bag up. And he's never touched the bag once. I go, fuck you. You got to earn them. When he gets to it, that's the day I'll tell him, okay, fuck you. Go train with somebody else.
Yeah.
But he ain't gonna get to that bag. I told him, I'm a bad motherfucker, son. You messing with a big boy that can move.
Registered. Yeah.
Well, Scott, we thank you so much for joining us tonight on the Me and Jesse podcast. Thank you for calling in from Hawaii. And I mean, hey, your day is still going on, so enjoy the rest of your day and your evening.
That went by too fast, everybody. Listen, we're gonna have part 2. We're gonna have part 2 in 2003, 2023. From maybe Jesse and I will be in Hawaii.
Oh, that would be good.
Doing the next.
We'll do a live podcast at one of the hotels. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that would be good. I'd be into that one, especially this time of year.
Yeah, you guys have a great Christmas. God bless you.
You too. Hello. All right. Bye. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Scott. Wow.
Scott Junk, everybody. Went on. Yeah, that blew by.
Yeah, very fast. Hey, you know what? You know Christmas is coming?
Yes.
Look what just showed up.
Uh-oh. What is it?
Come on.
Oh, the old Martineau family Christmas card.
Martin family Christmas card showing up. How do you like that, everybody? Hey, that's when you know Christmas is coming.
Yeah,
all right,
it's here now. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Remember, if you have any glass needs, commercial, industrial, or residential, call 310 Glass.
Or check out crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass for all your glass needs. Your clear choice for all your glass needs. Or Meathead Specialty Meat and Seafood. And don't forget about Broadway and Grand out in the Grove, everybody. What's going on? Big Christmas parties going on?
Yeah, lots of big Christmas parties. Got a New Year's party planned. And so, yeah, it's going. It's going. It's the place to be in Spruce.
Right in the Grove.
Right in the Grove. Other than that.
Go Croatia. Croatia tomorrow. We need them to win. And then France. And we want to do the rematch with France and Croatia. We might get a rematch,
man. We're close.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm okay. I'll sign off on that right now. Let's do the rematch. France looks unbelievable right now, and but looked a titch human against England. I think England got a few freebies there too, in my opinion. But I'm okay with the rematch between. I love France anyway, so it's not for me. It's not a. If we play anybody else, there's always going to be sour grapes, but it's never against France. I love France. I'm a big fan of France, regardless. So
yeah. Well, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much, Scott, for joining us again. We'll have him back in 2023 because that was great.
Definitely.
Until next time, enjoy yourself out there. That's Mark Pavlich. I'm Jesse Martineau. This has been the Me and Jesse podcast. We'll see you next time, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/Me and Jesse.